Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing? Wow.
Yeah, good, thank you, Mr.
Phenomenal handshake.
Thank you so much. Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Good, man. Just hydrating. How are you?
Yeah. Well, we're days away from Ramadan. The khutbah today, of course, was probably all around the world, was about prepping for Ramadan. Actually, this is a good way to start the podcast. One voice note I received from a brother today in the UK who was doing the khutbah, and he said, you know, this common analogy, he ended up making his khutbah about the common analogy that often you hear around this time from various shuyukh, which is that Ramadan is a guest that's coming into your home. But he kind of spun it a bit. He said something that I found interesting. I hadn't heard it like this, because normally when when people are giving this reminder that Ramadan is a guest, normally they give it in the context that it's a guest and before you know it, it's going to be gone. Yeah. That's the context I usually hear it in. But what he said is, you know, Ramadan is a guest, and it's a guest coming to your home. And when you have a guest coming into your home normally, there's two types of guests. There's one that's, this guy's coming over, it's a bit last minute, and I can't really be bothered to have a guest, but it's fine, he's coming, we'll just get some tea out, get some biscuits, just get it done, maybe move some things around, in and out kind of situation. And then there's, oh my gosh, this esteemed guest is coming, hoover the floors, clean the house, let's order a meal, like a banquet. And he said, which one of those are you gonna, you know, in which manner are you going to invite Ramadan into your home? Yeah. Is it going to be, it's here, it's going to be tough, it's going to be a struggle, let's just get it done because we have to? Or is it going to be that esteemed guest coming through? So my question to you, Kyle, is which is it going to be for you? I don't know.
Inshallah, I'm going to treat it like the latter, man, the esteemed guest. But I'll add an extra twist to the twist, yeah? Because I kind of thought back just now. With a guest, even with an esteemed guest, right? After a while, you think, okay, it's getting late. I'd like to just it's been great, but I get on with my night now, my routine. But for Ramadan, it's different, right? As you get towards the end, you begin to miss it already before it's over. There's only 4 Taraweehs left, and going to Taraweeh and fasting with the brothers and feeling this extra unity and brotherhood or sisterhood that you feel during Ramadan, and feeling this extra closer to Allah and the Quran, you feel like it's slipping away already, and you sort of the closer the end comes, the less you want it to come to an end, right? I feel that's the opposite to a guest. So one thing I try to tell myself, and this is definitely advice to myself first and foremost, is you're going to feel that at the end, so make sure when you feel that, you feel like, well, I have made the most of it though, rather than it's coming to the end and I feel like I haven't done anything. So obviously that's different for everybody. Everybody's at different stages and stuff, but you want to go into that last section where you know you're going to start missing it already, but you want to at least say, you know what, I've had a good run type of thing, and let me finish on the best way I can. But yeah.
Agreed.
So any hacks? Let's talk about some hacks, maybe practical daily tips and stuff. Yeah,
so I thought it'd be good to do that. It's the episode before Ramadan. It'd be good to kind of have a bit of a chinwag about Ramadan, prepping for Ramadan in the freshly grounded way. So not necessarily reminder heavy or knowledge heavy, but more so in terms of how we how we plan to go into this Ramadan, maybe how we plan to be productive in Ramadan and stuff like that. So let's get the most important non-religious discussion, let's bring it to the table. The most important non-religious discussion, and that is that discussion of coffee.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. How do you plan to do coffee this Ramadan?
Yeah. So this was top of my list of things to think about. It's on my WhatsApp notes. Yeah. So usually what I do, and what I'm trying to do, especially the next couple of days,
we should give a preface for those who don't drink coffee. Why is it such an important?
Yeah. So although
essentially the headaches, right?
Yeah, you get headaches. I'm actually not so bad with it, but I've heard so many people complain about it that I know that, with last year, because last year I was complaining that, or I was saying that, caffeine doesn't really do much to me. I can have a coffee after Taraweeh and I'll be fine. But then we started to discover together that actually I wasn't fine, and I was losing a lot of sleep. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure at some point in my life, whether it's this year or next year, I'm going to start getting these caffeine migraines or caffeine headaches like other people do, because I'm just getting older. So I'm conscious that it's a thing, right? And so what I'm trying to do is, I usually have 2 or 3 coffees a day, but I'm going to turn like 2 of those into decaf only over the next like 2 or 3 days. Just like taper it off, and then in Ramadan I'm basically drinking decaf exclusively, and that should inshallah like be enough of a taper. I kind of started a bit late with the tapering it off, but I think like 2 or 3 days should be good, and that's my plan.
Is that so that you can psychologically trick yourself that you're still having a coffee?
Not even that. I'm gonna have the coffees regardless. I enjoy having a coffee even if it's a decaf, but I'm trying to avoid if I am hooked on caffeine currently. I don't think I am, but if my brain is currently like, okay, if we stop having caffeine for a couple of days, we're gonna get a bad headache. If that is gonna happen, I'm gonna try and prevent that by like just tapering off the caffeine intake, specifically the caffeine intake over the next couple of days.
That's interesting.
What about you?
I've attempted Ramadan with caffeine and without caffeine, and I can wholeheartedly say that Ramadan without caffeine is a struggle.
Yeah.
So about 3 Ramadans ago, I decided to, obviously there's no point in having coffee during Ramadan, and I'll just firm the headaches, because I have experience trying to get off coffee for a few days, and I've experienced the headaches, and it's quite bad. So it's about 3 Ramadans ago I tried it, and I was like, no coffee this whole Ramadan, and I had 1 week of migraines. I don't know, say migraines, because migraines, I don't know if I've ever had a migraine. People explain migraines as a really bad headache.
Yeah, migraines can be very,
when people say migraine, I think of this.
yeah.
And I've not experienced that before.
Yeah,
alhamdulillah. So I get for about a week I get headaches.
Right.
Let's call it a headache.
So when you say headache, I want to understand, because I want to know like
my head, Kaya, it hurts.
So your head is aching? Yeah. But is it like a mild, like just like annoying? Or is it actually like hurting you?
No, it hurts and it feels heavy in my head, and it's like, well, I've got a headache, man. Like that.
As you would.
Yeah.
Good acting.
Just some acting for you.
Ouch! I have a headache.
Yeah. So a week worth of headaches, and then you're fine. Right. But even though you're fine after a week, you have to go through that week, which why would you want to? And also, you don't get to enjoy a coffee as well, which is also not fun.
Yeah.
So then again, the next year I did it, and then what I did the third year, I think this was about 4 Ramadans ago, because I've been doing this for 2 Ramadans now. So what I did the next year is I thought, you know what, I'm not going to go off caffeine. I'm just going to carry on having it. I'm just going to have it at the whole time. So this year and last year and I think the year before, I would wake up, have suhoor, and then at the end of my suhoor I'd back a coffee, and I had no headaches, and that's the main. And I got to enjoy coffee every morning, like I normally eat my morning coffee. So I'm going to stick to that because it works. So every morning my plan is wake up, suhoor, at the end of suhoor have coffee. Oh, do you know why I was concerned about having coffee? Now I remember. I was concerned for the headaches, but I was also concerned because of the dehydration.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much.
It's not that deep. It's not.
It's an absolute myth.
It's not a myth, but I think
it's a myth.
When people said caffeine dehydrates you, which is true, I think just for some reason went to the extremes in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, if I drink coffee and not drinking water,
you'll turn to salt.
Turn into, rock of sand. But it's not true at all. So I think maybe if you like just backing loads of coffee and not drinking enough water, maybe, but.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure, I'm going to have a coffee every morning. Is my point.
Yeah. So I googled it. Do you want me to read out what's the first thing up on Google?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that means it's true.
Yeah. That first thing is like scientifically backed. No, we'll see what it says. The caffeine in coffee gives it diuretic effects, meaning it causes your body to pass more urine. But these effects are too mild to cause dehydration.
Yeah.
So that's basically, it just makes you go to the toilet a bit more. So I think.
Yeah,
I think it's fake news.
Busted.
Myth busted. But one thing I definitely noticed last year, one thing I've been like, as I've got older, I've like tapered off my water intake just in life in general. Like I'll just like procrastinate drinking water. Is that have you felt that at all in life?
No.
Right. So maybe just me. I'll be thirsty there. But there's a bottle of water next to me, so that means it's okay. I'll just drink it in 10 minutes. Really? I'd rather just drink the water. But that's something that I've had. Yeah.
No, I'm like a camel.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. So in Ramadan last year, I really focused on like just drink a lot of water, even when you're not feeling thirsty at that point, like during the night. Just drink water, and I was getting like a good 1.5 liters into 2 liters. I don't think I was going above 2, but definitely 1.5 liters. And I think like, alhamdulillah, it was like an amazing Ramadan from the perspective of like no headaches, or not so much headaches, and like my hunger also seemed to be suppressed as well by that, because I think a lot of hunger is also like rooted in thirst.
You know what I don't like? I don't like when people overcomplicate situations, like when they start giving you methods on how to drink enough water during Ramadan.
Oh, sorry.
No, you didn't do that.
Yeah.
But you know, some people are like, all right, do this and this and this.
Yeah.
I'm like, some concepts are simple. Just drink water.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
That's what you have to do.
It's not a huge window of time, really. Like, just drink. We know we're supposed to get about a liter and a half as adults of water. Just drink it.
Drink, yeah.
That's what I wasn't doing. I was basically saying, oh, when I'm thirsty, I'll just drink some water. And I'd carry around like a small water with me. And I'd realise by like 2 a.m. it's like, bro, I haven't even finished a small water.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm taking sips. Just drink the whole thing, drink more. So last year I was really focused on that. I think it made like a noticeable difference.
That's good.
And I was trying to keep things, again, simple. Like last year, before I was like doing a whole like, oh, I have a banana and a bit of like porridge and a more, oh, a slow release. And I was like, you know what, this time I'm just going to do, for suhoor, dates and almonds. I was having like 3 dates. And like towards the end, I was having like 3 dates and 3 almonds. And I was like 4 as all the time. And it was like, alhamdulillah, I was fine all day.
I can't do that.
The thing is, I felt so light. I didn't feel, because you know your stomach will shrink. Like your stomach will shrink and you'll be like satiated with like whatever you've had type of thing. And even if you're eating oats, bro, you can eat oats, you can eat a tuna if you want. By midday, it's digested anyway.
Yeah, you're hungry. Yeah.
You're hungry anyway.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So it's like, bro, don't like, oh, the oats are slow release. All right, you're gonna get an extra hour with the oats in your belly. That's about it, bro.
No, I do think that oats are good for suhoor. Like, yeah, I think it's unanimous, right? I don't eat them.
No, you're right.
No, I don't eat them. I think there's unanimous. I think again, it's the same with the water thing.
Yeah.
I think it's unanimous that oats are good for suhoor. But I do think that if you don't eat oats, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just don't like the idea of like the over. You got to do what works for you.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Yeah, this slow release is great. If you want to eat oats, eat them, but it's not the only way to do suhoor. So here's how I do it, which is the only way.
The other extreme. Go on.
So in my life, I just try and set up systems. So the coffee thing was issue, found a system, have it all done. Right, this is my system for suhoor. Well, it's worked for about 3 years in a row.
Other than these horrible headaches I've been having. Yeah.
The night before, crack 2 eggs.
Fine.
About 1/4 spoon of chili powder. Put it in there. 1/4 teaspoon of cumin powder.
Respect.
1/4 teaspoon of coriander.
More respect.
Powder. And if you can, some chopped onions.
Fair.
Mix that together. Cling film. Wrap it over the bowl.
Nice.
Stick in the fridge. Wake up in the morning and you're thinking, oh, what do I do? It's the whole time. I've only got 5 minutes left, 10 minutes left. I woke up late. Oh, now I think about what to eat. Hey, you've cut out all of the thinking.
Wow.
Go to the fridge. You take that cling film off. Pour it into the pan. You got yourself an omelette.
Wow.
Toast in the toaster. Bread in the toaster.
Bang.
Chuck the omelette in the bread.
Amazing.
Fold. Got yourself an omelette sandwich. And guess what? That omelette recipe that I just gave you, try it. It tastes banging.
Yeah.
Then what you do, back of coffee, some water, you're done. 30 days in a row. Bro, that was my system. I didn't have to make any decisions.
Yeah.
I don't want to make decisions. Guess what I don't want to do? Make a decision.
Fine. I can't argue with that. Because firstly, that sounds like a great sandwich.
It's a great sandwich, but also there's no decisions. You don't have the night before. You prepped it. Bro, I wake up, not 5 minutes, but 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, I've woken up late. I've got 10 minutes left to suhoor.
Yeah.
Guess what? No decision.
Yeah. That's a perfect time to make omelets. A little bit runny as well. It's like you ain't cooking it for 12 minutes. That's like
that's 2-minute cooker.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. I respect that. I'd like to have one of those ones because it actually sounds very nice. However,
that's all done.
Yeah, I will counter that with try my thing for a couple of days. Yeah, which is you just buy enough dates, good quality dates. Don't get those deglet ones. Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to do your system,
bro. Trust me.
No, it'll be really tough for me. I have to have a fat breakfast. A bit of carbs.
So basically, how I was doing last year, I was having a big iftar. Yeah, not big. It wasn't crazy big. It was just like nice, like a full size meal, right? So I wasn't like scrimping on iftar. I was having a good size meal iftar. But then I was just like banging water, like I said, just banging water like during tarawih after tarawih, maybe like a decaf coffee, and then I wasn't even hungry. I wouldn't be hungry until suhoor time, and I would just have like 3 or 4 dates and 3 or 4 almonds. That's it. Yeah, and I was feeling light. I was feeling good, and you just have to be good quality dates, not huge ones, but good quality ones, and almonds. That's it. And the almonds have got protein in it. The dates have got lots of good stuff in it. As long as your iftar is not like mad, unhealthy, I was feeling good, man. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I'm planning to try and eat clean. Well, I say this every year.
I was eating relatively clean. And the thing is, even with that, your iftar doesn't have to be clean. You can splurge a bit on iftar, knowing that I ain't really eat anything else. Like I'm having dates and
Yeah, but I
hours
don't want to
later.
have like iftars where every day I'm banging pizza,
No.
dessert,
No,
milkshake. I know
No.
there's gonna be sometimes Big Face is gonna want a milkshake.
of course.
That's fine.
And you'll deserve it.
I will deserve the
Yeah,
milkshake.
yes.
But generally speaking, I'm gonna just eat one meal for
Yeah.
iftar and just keep it.
As opposed to free.
You do though, don't you? You eat a
Yeah, you
meal
can,
for
you
iftar,
can,
then you eat
yeah.
a meal
What,
at
like two
midnight,
plates,
and then you
yeah.
eat a meal before you go to bed.
Yes.
And it's like you've had 3 fat meals.
This is what I'm
You backed
saying.
3,000 calories in a day, which is over your daily limit probably. And it's like, well, you're not doing the thing that. Look, the beautiful thing about Islam is that these obligations, the way of life that Islam facilitates or obliges a person to live, it's actually good for you, and it's not. We can't ourselves. It's through the mercy of Allah that these things exist.
Yes.
And it's like Allah tells us in the Quran that sometimes there's a thing that is better for you and you don't like it, or there's a thing that is bad for you but you like it, and Allah knows and you do not know. And so what you realize with fasting is we know now, haqqan. We knew anyway because we only rely on Allah, but we know, even the non-Muslims know, that fasting is incredible. One of the many reasons it's incredible is because what you're doing in that month, you know, growing up, you'd hear this thing a lot like, oh, Allah's, you know, I don't know if you would hear it, but in my family, people would say, like the elders, they'll say, you know, Allah's, the reason for Ramadan, one of the reasons for Ramadan is because it like cleans your whole system for the month once a year. But that's actually true. And so one of the benefits of fasting is that by allowing your body to feel hunger, you're allowing your body to let off certain hormones, not hormones, I think it is something scientific inside your body that doesn't get released when you're constantly feeding your body.
Yes.
When you're not allowing yourself to feel hunger.
Yes.
And those things are healing mechanisms. And so I read a thread on Twitter about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some of the benefits of fasting, and that was one of them, that it allows your body to heal.
Yeah.
And so if you're fasting all day and then you're backing 3,000 calories or loads of pizza and dessert, are those mechanisms being released in your body? Maybe, because you're still going for that hunger, but I don't know, it doesn't
Probably
feel like...
You're probably reversing the good that you did, coming to kind of...
Yeah, I mean, we're completely bro science.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it also goes against the sunnah in general of like, we shouldn't be filling our bellies. You know what I mean? Like with food, 1/3 for food, 1/3 for water, 1/3 for air, right? That should be the... And during Ramadan last year, again...
in that hadith, that also, that's the hadith, it says that you shouldn't fill yourself up. But if you do, then it's 1/3 water, 1/3 food, 1/3 air, which is amazing. Because people say, oh, I've had my third. But it's like, you're not actually technically meant to reach your third. Which again, bro, we're like you said before the mic was on, it's kind of like, we're not... sitting on our high horse, because at the end of the day, bro, you might see me back in a pizza.
This is me.
But I suppose
myself.
it's idealistic.
Yeah, me advising myself for sure. What was I going to say? So during Ramadan last year, I remember saying to my wife, like, this is maybe the first time ever where I've like, I feel like I'm not filling my belly, and like I feel much better for it. Like before, like outside Ramadan, usually I'd be like, oh, if I'm hungry, I feel hangry. I need to eat. But I was actually like, I trained myself quite quickly within like a week to like, I just need one meal and just like a handful of dates and nuts, and I was feeling much better than I would if I was having 3-4 meals a day. You know, so yeah, there's benefits in, of course, following the sunnah in this respect and all respects, man. Like, and this is an opportunity for you just to fall back in line with the sunnah in many different aspects. So yeah. Do
you remember last year when I was here?
Yeah.
So last year Ramadan, for those listening, I spent the first maybe week or so of Ramadan in Dubai. I could potentially say even like the first half of Ramadan in Dubai. But anyway, there was a good few days of Ramadan at the beginning of Ramadan when I was in Dubai. Now, I was at that point doing the move from England to Dubai, and so I came here by myself. I don't think I was planning to be in Dubai for Ramadan, but I had to extend my stay here because I was still sorting out paperwork. But I basically came here by myself without the wife and kids to sort out paperwork and house and all that kind of stuff, so that I didn't have to do that when they were here. I wanted them to have a very easy transition into Dubai. Yeah. So I basically thought, let me come first, sort everything out, then go back and get them. And so part of that process, I was in Dubai during Ramadan, first few days. And so it was a really different Ramadan, because how it would work is, first of all, it was the first Ramadan I experienced in such a hot country, but how it would work is I was, during the days while fasting, I was like doing all of the paperwork stuff. So like going and queuing and, you know, setting things up, paying deposits. And it was not necessarily the most fun of tasks or the least labor. So, you know, you're walking from this place to that place, and you're trying to, and I think the mental load as well, because you've never done it before. You don't know what paperwork is needed. You're going to do your medical, and you're doing this and it's like, so there's the mental kind of stress element of it, and then there's the heat, which you haven't really experienced before, especially last year when I was hot. And then on top of that, I would come back, and at some point during Ramadan, I think I got the keys to the house, and so I was living in my house, which didn't have a stove, I managed to get a fridge on like one of the first couple of days. So I had a fridge, no stove, no microwave, any of that, and didn't have bed, no furniture at all, just an empty shell, no Wi-Fi, but I had data. And so I was living in what is now my bedroom with an air mattress and a pillow, and because I was sleeping on an air mattress, I'd also had like a stiff neck.
Yeah,
do you remember?
I remember that.
So I was like walking around like this, like not able to do anything. And like when you got a stiff neck, you only value your neck when you have a stiff neck. And so it was rough in some cases. But the beautiful thing was, I would look forward to Taraweeh every night because I'd see the brothers, and there was lots of brothers who kind of knew I was like yourself and Cairo and stuff, and knew I was alone, and so Cairo and his family prepared me iftar, and guys would, like, we'd go out, so me and you'd go out a lot for iftar and stuff like that. So that was really nice. But what was really sad is after that, I would always dread coming back home, because I knew I was coming home to an empty house. And bro, try living in it, even if it's an apartment, bro. Try living in an apartment. Well, alhamdulillah, first of all, it's a blessing. I'm not trying to complain. Like, alhamdulillah, I have an apartment, or I had a house, and alhamdulillah, there's people who don't. But there's something eerie about being in an empty shell of a place. And so it wasn't something I was looking forward to. And the most important part of it wasn't the furniture or the lack of a stove or microwave. It was the fact that I wasn't going home to a family. Yeah. And the fact that I knew that I have a wife and kids, you know, across the, you know, on the other side of the world, and I just wanted to be with them. And it made me really value and appreciate having a wife and kids. So this Ramadan, I'm looking forward to being in that same home, but this time, you know, going to Taraweeh and enjoying it, but then being excited about coming home to my family and waking up and doing suhoor with my family and stuff like that.
Barak.
What's really funny is that this is now, if you think about it, it's disgusting. But
I'll get emotional there.
No. What's disgusting is, actually it's not disgusting because I had a fridge, that's it. Yeah, it's not disgusting. Yeah, so what I would do is, alhamdulillah, the brothers would, like, I'd invite me to the houses for iftar, or we'd go out for dinners and stuff like that. So iftar was no issue. But suhoor now, I'm in a house with not even a microwave. So I would think to myself, well, this is so bougie as well at the same time. I would think to myself, well, what can I order? You know what's coming, don't you? Yeah. What can I buy that I can have for iftar? Sorry, as like a midnight snack, because we do iftar or something. But I'd come home after Taraweeh, I'd be hungry. What can I buy that I can order in the evening after Taraweeh, but that I can also have the leftovers for at suhoor time? Because at 3 o'clock in the morning in Dubai, I'm not going to go to no shop. I'm in the middle of, like, I don't have a microwave and stuff. So I would order sushi every day. Yeah. And I would eat it for iftar, for after Taraweeh, and then I'd put it in the fridge because all I had was a fridge. And as a suhoor, I was back in sushi every day. Yeah,
I can't put into words how much I respect you for that. Like, just getting sushi every day.
Back in sushi for suhoor.
I respect you a lot for that, man. No, that's a great story.
I was demanding.
That's one of the stories you should tell people, like, when they first meet you. Like, when they ask what you do, you should tell them that story.
I have sushi for suhoor.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. They ask what you did. Let me tell you about your sushi story first.
Bro, let me finish. Actually, there's something else. Actually, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but now that's reminded me of something. A few weeks ago, I was fasting, and I remembered this story. And I remember, you know, when you look back on something with rose-tinted glasses, I was like, I used to have sushi for suhoor. And actually, it's the perfect suhoor, because you don't have to heat it up. It's always ready. Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I'm going to order some sushi. And I'm going to put it in the fridge. Tomorrow for suhoor, I'm having sushi for suhoor. Worst decision I ever made.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I realized that I was not doing it because of the luxury of sushi back last year. I was doing it because it's the only thing I can probably put in the fridge, take out and have. And actually, it was a really bad decision. A few weeks ago, I was eating my sushi for suhoor, and I was thinking, all I fancy is an omelette sandwich. I'm having this cold yesterday's sushi
Yeah.
for suhoor. I nostalgically thought it would be a good idea, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not doing that this year.
Fair enough.
The only time in your life you could say that sushi was a necessity.
Yeah, that was actually a good time to eat sushi. But yeah, no, I respect it, man. You can't not respect sushi for suhoor.
Yeah.
That's a flex. All right, another thing I was gonna say was like you mentioned London as well. Like when I was in London, the time again, like I think Baraka comes in here. We were just talking about again not filling your stomach, that kind of thing. I remember in London, yeah, the time between like Tarawih and like suhoor fajr time was like small, yeah, like a couple of hours maybe sometimes, yeah. And I remember like I would eat iftar, I'd come back, I'd have another meal. It wasn't even a snack. I'd like that's my second. Oh, this is my lunch. I'll have my lunch now, and I had another meal at suhoor. And bro, like I was like doing what you're saying, basically filling my stomach, having my calories I would otherwise have, but it was feeling okay, but I felt nowhere near as good as I felt last year when I was just keeping it simple, one meal and the dates and the almonds. And we can't discount again Baraka, like just trying to you know not fill your stomach because of what the hadith says about that, and trying to keep things simple and not, you know, being greedy, quite frankly, with food and being wasteful with food. There's barakah in that as well, inshallah. So that plays a massive role, man. Like just keep it simple. Don't fill your stomach too much. Inshallah, you feel better.
Yeah, agreed. Let's give some non-food related discussion some time, because Ramadan is not just about, as much as we think about it so much in the context of food, truthfully, it's about so much. Month of mercy, it's the month of the Quran.
Yes.
It's the month where the doors of Jannah are open, the doors of the hellfire are closed. It's the major shayateen and shaitan are locked up. And so actually, in many ways, spiritually, it's even more exciting of a month. And it just goes to show how miraculous it is, because everybody you speak to gets what we call that Ramadan feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
And that Ramadan feeling is not anything to do with the food or the stomach. That Ramadan feeling is actually a spiritual feeling where you just feel Iman feels good, you feel motivated to read Quran. So many people read Quran, finish the Quran from front to back in Ramadan that they otherwise don't do all around the year.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could say, oh, people should read Quran more throughout the year, and that's of course true. But if we look at the positive, it's the fact that people are united on this idea of reading as much as possible, and they put other things aside. And so, do you have any hacks, non-food related things that you do in your life during Ramadan that you otherwise don't do, that's like to help productivity of your spiritual side?
Alhamdulillah, I'm able to like move things around work-wise. This is like probably the main hack I do to like try to make more time like with Tarawih, things like this. So I just like preemptively change my Calendly link. So it's like, okay, these are the times where like I'm not going to be available. So I do that, and that usually will help. So if I get usually outside Ramadan, I'll get my work done in the evenings. But in Ramadan, I'm working usually like after Asr and between Maghrib type of thing, or around that time to get the most out of the nights, basically.
Don't you feel drained mentally at that time? Because
I do, but again,
have you tried working in the mornings?
So that is also another thing, but I usually don't get enough done in the mornings, and I'll need to do work again a little bit like after Asr time. It's usually how it goes.
I think what I'm planning to do is work in the mornings.
I'm trying to remember last year how I did it actually. I definitely did do some work in the mornings, but I don't think I was doing like hardcore work. It was just like bits and bobs.
What's your day looking like? Give me your whole day. Suhoor is at around 4:30 here.
Yeah.
So it's 4 a.m. You're awake.
Yeah. So
what time are you waking up? 4 or
no? Because I'm not cooking anything usually. So I'm
dates and nuts.
Dates and nuts.
So dates and nut in it at 4:15.
That's right. So I do go. I'm going to give you what last year was, because before that it was like, was it COVID?
Okay, give me your ideal day that you plan to have.
Yeah, that was fine. Ideal
realistic plan.
Yeah.
When you have a good Ramadan day,
I'm going to be optimistic. This is what my ideal plan is, even if it's not realistic. Yeah, is to do what you seem to do, which is to stay up after Fajr. Yeah, and not go back to sleep. Right. So I wake up, have my dates, have my almonds, pray Fajr obviously, and then I want to get. If I was my ideal man, I'd do my work then. That's because that's the best. Again, in the sunnah, doing that's a good time to be productive.
Yeah,
Baraka is in there. Also, read the Quran. That would be a good time to do it. If I was being my ideal self, that would be the best time to do it in the day. So I'd get those two done, and ideally, in an ideal world, that would be like I'd get a good chunk of work done and dedicate some time to reading the Quran before anyone wakes up in the house. And then like I could just like enjoy my morning with the family without thinking I've got like tasks to do with work. That would be good. That would be ideal. I'll keep posted on whether I've reached out or not. If I was to do that, I probably wouldn't have to do too much. It will switch around. So Asr time I do like the smaller tasks, like maybe send a few emails on Asr time.
Yeah.
And then like, because you're right, between Dhuhr and Asr I get a dip.
Same.
Yeah. And like
I think everybody does.
Yeah. And like I may sometimes I nap then. But as Maghrib approaches, like the energy comes back because I know, okay, I've got an hour left from eating. So probably then I'll do the smaller tasks, and
Definitely.
then and then just get ready for Tarawih, man. Like get the nighttime rewards in, inshallah. Yeah, that would be the ideal. And then again, bang out water, avoid having a second meal, go to sleep.
Are you gonna nap every day? Is that the plan?
I don't plan on it because I think
one must.
I don't know. It's obviously good to, but I think after the first week, I generally don't have to, and it becomes like sporadic. Like I may need it, I may not need it. So my body gets used to it. I don't know about you, but after about 3 or 4 days, alhamdulillah, it kind of becomes like I'm good now. It feels like normal. It feels like I could live this way forever if I have to.
Yeah, if only
you feel that.
Nah, I do always every Ramadan. I think, let me not just make this a Ramadan thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we will get that. So that's proof that you get to a point where it's like, this is actually, I'm fine. Like,
and then Eid comes, you enjoy it, and then you're like, I'll start.
Yeah.
And then you think, think I'll start it in a few days' time. Let me enjoy it. I've had a month of fasting and stuff, but
yeah, that's it, man. We'll have the same feeling then, apparently. Because you get, the body's very fickle, man. You get used to it, and then Eid comes, as the brain. You get used to it, and you get used to Eid. You get used to having a breakfast, going out for a brunch or whatever like that, and having a juice in the middle of the day, and then your brain's like, okay, back to this then, yeah? So it's a struggle, man, but that's definitely something that I'd like to do, like just make fasting in general like a normal thing for me throughout the year.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. I know brothers who are like that, man, like Mondays and Thursdays, you'll never see them eating, man. You never see them eating and drinking. Like, there's a brother who would come regularly on the podcast, and we used to shoot the podcast every Thursday, and he would never be. I'd think, bro, sometimes we're shooting a 2-hour podcast, 3-hour podcast. The brother is not drinking any water, and it's hard, especially like I find podcasts very difficult during Ramadan. I'm going to be doing them because I haven't shot any in advance, but our Ramadan podcasts are like short, like these kind of episodes, not like the guest ones with like 3 hours.
But again, here, Maghrib's at like 6:30.
Yeah, you could do them post.
You can do them after, and like not even. Yeah, should be fine. But
I think
it's not ideal to like do it at that time if you're going to do other stuff.
In London, they at 6:30 as well, but after a few days, it moves by a whole hour to 7:30.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I forgot London's like that, man. It fluctuates so much, isn't it?
Yeah, so like the time is happening in Ramadan.
I thought like we'd moved out of that, like to wintry. I thought it was going to be like half.
No, this is the year that's happening. So I think maybe next year, maybe it might be no clock change.
So the clock change, I forgot about that.
What did you think?
I just thought like we were just like going into the part of the year where like the like it's just wintry time, and it's like it's moving earlier. But I forgot the clock change.
No, there's a clock change.
I know.
A whole hour.
I just forgot that exists.
No, quiet. There's a clock change.
They put with the clocks. Yeah. Fair enough, man. I'm gonna be there for the first couple of weeks, so yeah. Here's what it is. We'll see how that goes.
Oh man, yeah.
I think next year I'll definitely like not do that. But circumstances have made it so that's how it is.
I've always done my Ramadan in London up until this year will be my first, inshallah. That it's not like as I've always. Inshallah. Last year I did a few days or maybe a week or two, but generally I ended it there.
Yeah.
The thing is though, what is good about doing Ramadan in the UK is family.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm looking forward to. Like, spending more time with my family, trying to get to a bit more be more active with like advice and dawah a little bit.
Yeah, I find it hard, man. I find being around family, especially during Ramadan, difficult because I don't know what it's like in Turkish culture, but Pakistani culture, boy, there's some beauty to the culture of how they do Ramadan. Like, there's some parts of it you just think it's not healthy necessarily, but it's just like. Iftar, there's samosas, there's fruit. There's like a fruit cocktail that you'd call a fruit jart,
Nice.
And
Oh yeah, okay. I think I've seen.
You
that.
heard it?
I think I've seen that. I haven't seen it. Had it, but
There's that. There's samosas, and then there's biryani. Which I'm not a huge fan of biryani, but
You know I am.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Have you tried every biryani place in Dubai?
Not yet, but I'll keep posted on that.
Yeah. Curries. Oh, it's just.
You like? What about nihari? Is a little nihari in there?
I don't love a nihari, but I'll have a nihari.
I thought you liked nihari.
No, I'm pretty simple. Like chicken tikka masala, butter chicken.
So you're Scottish, basically.
Yeah, chicken tikka masala, lambuna.
Yeah.
No, but I do miss that, bro, because I do really love the Pakistani culture. I think there's such beauty in the culture, and it's you don't get and you get it in the home. But the beautiful thing about Pakistani culture is also in the numbers. It's in the number of people.
Yeah.
It's a people culture.
Yeah,
it's PC. It's a people culture.
Yeah. One thing I like, here. Was it last year? Last year the tents. You heard about the tents outside the masajid?
Yeah, but I don't think they were here last year.
There was a couple. It wasn't.
Okay.
This year's gonna be more widespread because the whole COVID thing. It's like come and gone type of thing. Last year was a couple of them. Only like some of the big masjids. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it?
Basically, so for example, where I live, the local one, whoever's like, if you're a big company, you can sponsor a masjid to have a tent, and everyone can contribute. And basically, it will be free iftar for like anyone who can come, right? So you go into the tent, and it's just like
like a big gazebo.
Yeah, big gazebo, and the general iftar is biryani, banana, labans, there's like a little milk drink, maybe a juice, and some dates, I think.
That
right?
sounds like Ramadan in Mecca and Medina. I did Ramadan in Mecca and Medina a few years ago.
I think it's a similar little package that you get, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's just like, on one hand, I don't like to go because really it's for like the people who can't really afford to like splash out on iftars and stuff. And it's like, it's a charity in that sense. But it's also open to everybody, of course. But you get that feeling where it's like, oh man, this is really nice. Like everyone's come together to eat and then we're going to pray after. And that...
I was going to say, on the contrary, it actually might be nice to go because it's like, it's the whole community together.
Yeah, it's lovely,
eating
man.
together, which I'm sure there's Baraka in that.
Oh, for sure. I remember last year, I was in the Silicon Oasis, and I remember just watching, it was maybe like, I think I went for Asr, and like they were just setting up the tent. They were setting up like the carpet and they were like laying it out.
And you were watching from afar.
I was watching. I was literally watching. Like, but I was just like, I was even getting a feeling from there because I could see some of the brothers coming, like they're waiting for the iftar and stuff. And it was like, man, this is beautiful, man.
Yeah,
it's like everyone's coming together, and so that's my like open source version of what you have with the Pakistani thing. But yeah, Turkish culture. Yeah, I mean. It's unfortunately, I want to see the Turkish community practicing more, and then that would definitely help with that.
Do you feel like that's like a lifelong mission of yours?
I do, man. I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle that. I'm not somebody. I'd like to have an impact on that. I don't know how I'll have an impact on that, but I'd like to try.
Baraka, bro. That's the only way it happens. Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing goal to have.
It is definitely like sparking. Like two or three of my cousins are like practicing, and like that alone is like. Not unheard of, but definitely like growing up, like there was no one in like our sort of like senior family members who were like practicing, right? And now there's like in our generation there's like at least 3 or 4. So that's something, there's definitely a change happening there, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah, man. May Allah make it easy.
I mean,
from the angle of the Quran, I think that Ramadan being the month of the Quran, just reciting as much as possible is like super important. Also, it's tough when you're speaking on a platform because everybody's individual circumstance dictates what is beneficial for that person. It's very easy to go on a platform and say, guys, a month of the Quran, everyone just recite the Quran. But obviously, while that is optimal, there's different people who have different requirements or they need to do different things. So if you're providing for your family and you're unable to take time off work and you're doing a 9 to 5 and you can't necessarily read as much as a normal person, not a normal person, but like a person who isn't working a 9 to 5. So I remember listening to one lecture which changed my perspective on things, obviously, which was that get the reward for that working by seeing it as an act of worship that you're providing for your family, and then you're going to get reward for that. Allah is the most merciful. And there was another thing that I heard once. It slipped my mind completely. That's frustrating. What was it about Quran? Reciting Quran people who have to work like a 9 to 5. Oh yeah, one time I observed in the mosque, right, after Taraweeh or during Taraweeh, there was an argument happening, and what it turned out it was that one of the worshippers was having a go at one of the security guys in the mosque, who's like making sure everybody's in the saf and stuff like that, getting people in and out safely, and stuff, and saying to him like, every night you're just doing this, when are you going to pray Taraweeh? And I don't know, man, like it was really sad to see, because somebody then explained to that brother, everybody has different responsibilities, and this brother, for facilitating the salah, which is not an obligatory salah at the end of the day, for facilitating the salah, you don't know what his reward is of Allah. Someone's got to facilitate it, because we are in situations where, especially in the UK, sometimes maybe someone has to be on lookout, bro. It's not safe, bro. Like, and for all these people praying salah, and nobody's like making sure that everyone's safe
Security
and good.
guys, man.
Sure. And then on top of that, making sure the elderly, the disabled are able to get in and out. Maybe someone, bro, how often do you see like people during Taraweeh, they faint, they drop and stuff like that? There needs to be someone who can look out for these things, and so you don't know what the reward that person is getting, bro. And so that was kind of, ultimately, the religion has not failed to humble me constantly in my life. Every day, bro, I'm getting humbled by the religion. I think I have an opinion on something, and then I learn something, and I'm humbled by it. Because maybe one day I was that guy who would maybe have had that thought that, how are you standing there in the mosque every single day I see you, and you're not praying, and how can you do that? How are you going to answer to Allah? Do you know what I mean, bro? And then it's like maturity and learning things makes you, bro, every day, bro, like I'm just getting humbled. Like, you know, there was a time where you'd probably see somebody, especially when you learn about, obviously we don't want to go into like the matters of Islam because we're so young in our knowledge, but when it comes to matters of like ikhtilaf, so difference of opinion on fiqh issues, you start to understand that, wow, I need to be so much softer on people, and only through softness sometimes can you get through to people in certain things. I'm not saying be soft on everything. I'm not saying be soft on like the fundamental pillars of the religion, but for sure, my point is that Islam humbles you. The knowledge humbles you so much. The little knowledge that I've been able to get has just constantly humbled me, and it's beautiful, man. And it's just so beautiful when you see that, when you see people being humble with the knowledge, or like when you see people who are strict on themselves and soft on others, and they're like such beautiful characters, and you want to be like them, and by them being strict on themselves and soft on you end up being strict on yourself because you want to be like that person. So I try to remind myself of that, because sometimes you do feel like, oh, I wish this person was doing this or doing that. I try and remind myself, well, if it's something that you can make an excuse from there's an excuse for it on a scholarly level, try and make that excuse for them, be strict on yourself, and show great character to them, and then hopefully they will end up being on the safer side of that grey area because they're inspired by you. But maybe for this particular individual, if you try and scream and shout down their neck on an issue that's not even, that there is a valid difference of opinion from a fiqh perspective, maybe they would really run away from it because of the way you're behaving with it. And that's something I'm constantly trying to learn. Yeah, man. I think we all are. We're all trying to learn that, man. I mean, on the note of, you know, those who are in charge of security at the masjid, in charge of like keeping the roads straight or keeping the people safe, that kind of thing within the masjid and stuff, And there's even like brothers who like, I've heard before, who are like, look, I work night shifts. Like, what is like, you know, a lot of the advice that, you know, people give around Ramadan doesn't apply to me because I'm working nights, and it's like I'm topsy-turvy in terms of my working day. I think like not the best advice, of course, but some advice maybe that you know, I hope to benefit from myself is just like ikhlas, like be sincere, like whatever role you, like maybe the masjid said to you, look, we ain't got a security guard this year, we need you to be a security guard, which means you can't play Taraweeh. We need you to like keep the people safe. Like there's places in the world where that's a genuine needed thing. If you're sincere, then you have to just do the best of what you've got. Whatever Allah has decreed that you're gonna have to dealing with, maybe it's night shift, maybe a family member's ill, so you can't do certain things. If you're just sincere, you'll get, inshallah, the deeds in at some point. And even if it's not as much as you would have hoped, inshallah, it's like the reward is there, man, because Allah is most merciful. And as long as you're sincere, like sincerity is like, you know what I mean? There's not much. If you're sincere, then what's the word I'm looking for? Help me finish this thought. if you're not sincere, you essentially just lose out on the reward, because ikhlas is such an important part of.
It's a foundational part of any deed, any action, right? So without sincerity, the deeds don't even matter. Whereas if you're sincere, even if you do a small amount of deeds, then that's amazing, man, and that's rewardable.
And you know what? One of the things I love about Islam is that it's so balanced that two opposite things can be true at the same time. And so while what you're saying is 100% true, even to go on, we should also give the other side, which is also true without making what you said untrue, which is at the same time, it's Ramadan and you must strive.
Yes.
Try and your best to, I suppose, reduce excuses where you can. Try to strive and push your body and mind and your soul to places it's not been before, from in a spiritual situation. Try and say, you know what, I'm going to try and take a bit of extra time to read Quran, even though it's difficult or something, or try and find reward where you can find it. It's just balance. It's like,
yeah, man. On
one end, look, if you need to you need to sleep so you can work, so you can provide for your family. Sleep. Don't tell yourself I'm not doing enough, because just see that sleep as act of worship.
That's right, yeah.
On the other hand, if you could tell yourself I'm going to sleep a bit less so I can put an extra hour of Quran, strive and put extra hour in Quran. Yeah. But the point is that it's independent to each person. But A, don't be harsh on yourself, but B, strive and be as hard on yourself as you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's perfect. Like, I think like you've got two sides of that story here, and if anyone listens to that and thought, well, then what's like, how do I get, again, I think sincerity there is also like the dividing line. Be sincere on like try and do your best to serve your family, but also to strive. Don't use that as an excuse to don't do anything. Strive a bit. You know, again, advice myself, I want to strive as much as I can within the circumstance I have, and inshallah that's going to be a good Ramadan, inshallah. Yeah.
I'm going to end on this thought that I was having earlier this week. So, by the way, Abdullah just messaged me. So Abdullah, the guy who for the last 2 episodes has been, well, probably not, he's ended the podcast.
I mean, like, he's coming just in general. Like, he's burst in like the last 5 minutes.
Okay, I might get this wrong, right? But I can always cut it out. One thought that I had this week is how important, a few things. Essentially, there's this common hadith that we hear about in English, right? That we hear of in English. And the hadith is, there are 2 words that are light on the tongue, heavy on the scales in Day of Judgment, and loved by Allah, subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim. And what I was thinking is, and then I heard it in Arabic, and it's so beautiful when you hear it in Arabic. And what it made me think is, first of all, it's so important for us to learn the Arabic language, me included. And then, and striving to do that and not giving up on it, because so many of us, like myself, start, and then there's hurdles where it can get tough, or you're not putting in the extra work, and then you just get to this point where you kind of understand the khutbah, but you never really get further than that, which is sad. So that's one thing it reminded me of. The other thing it reminded me of is how amazing the Prophet ﷺ was. How amazing it is that Allah gave him ﷺ this eloquence where he could speak in a concise manner, where who couldn't read or write, yet could come with could say such beautiful things, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in words that we could never put it in. And so the hadith, as you know in English, like I said, is 2 words, light on the tongue, heavy on the scales, blah blah blah, subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim. And it's powerful like that, but it's so much more powerful in Arabic just because of even how it sounds. And I'm going to try and remember how it goes in Arabic, but it's كلمتان خفيفتان على اللسان ثقيلتان في الميزان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم.
Yeah,
how beautiful is that? Now I should say that you wouldn't always pronounce the kasras, because like sometimes, like depending on when you pause, so it could be like kalimatan khafifatani. But how beautiful is that? How beautiful does it sound? Everything rhymes. You can't put that into English without while still keeping
The beauty.
The Arabic language is so beautiful, but also the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine, bro, how many hadith we know about in English that we've never heard in Arabic that are probably just as beautiful to hear, and they want you to find the next one and to memorize them and stuff like that. So that's the thought I had, and I just thought sometimes you hear things, and as much as you unwaveringly do believe in Islam, in a weird way, even though you believe in Islam unwaveringly, it makes you like even more, what's the word, like, I don't want to say even more certain, because that gives the impression that that there's a part of certainty that you didn't have, but it does make you even more.
You just uncover another layer of beauty to it.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think as well. I think that's it. And this is the thing, like, early on, like, after I started practicing, I had this sort of turning point as well. I think I mentioned it on a podcast before, whereas like I would read the Quran, in English, obviously, at the time, and I would, and that would be good. I'd benefit from it. But then when I started to listen to the Quran as I'd read, so I'd go on YouTube and like listen to a recitation that's got the English translation, and I would listen to how this ayah is recited in Arabic. It totally changed my perception of that ayah or that surah, right? When you're hearing it recited, it's like, oh, I read this surah in English and it was just like, I benefited from it, but it's all in Arabic. It sounds beautiful. It's rhyming, and these two ayat are rhyming together like this. And it's like, when you're listening to something, when you listen to the Quran specifically, there's like 10 more like layers of like beauty to it rather than just read. Do you know what I mean? It's like it cannot be translated into English like that.
Bro, there's so many miracles in the Quran that is amazing, right? Like, there's two that came to mind. One time I heard someone say that in the Quran, there are, in every single surah, there are words that don't exist. There are words that don't exist in any other surah in the Quran.
They're unique to that surah,
Yeah, in every surah there's words that are unique. And I think in this video, the guy broke down the shortest surah of the Quran, which is Surah Al-Kawthar. And it's just,
three lines.
Three lines, yeah. 3 verses. And even in 3 verses, he displayed a good number of words that only exist in that surah. It was amazing. Another miracle, which I find just amazing, bro. I'll stay here show you once. Is that every surah starts and ends. The beginning of the surah and the end of the surah always match. It's phenomenal, bro. And also the end of a surah, I think he said the end of a surah in some way relates to the beginning of the next surah, but I don't want to say that in case I'm wrong. But like, you can see that in this example. So this is Surah Tur, and at the end of it, it says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن الليل فسبحه وإدبار النجوم. Yeah, it ends on the word nujum, which is like the start.
Yeah.
The next surah is Surah An-Najm, and it starts with وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى. The word that ended it started with that one.
Yeah.
And so if you look at, like, for example, even if you look at like Surah Ikhlas, look at how it starts, look at how it ends. I mean, I know we know, but I just want to go to it now. Oh, I'm using the Tartil app, by the way.
Of course, as you would.
قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. That's how it starts. And look at the end one. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Yeah?
Yeah.
Bro, if you look at any surah, I mean, you have to, and I don't know it enough, you have to like be able to know the Arabic language to connect the ayat in a lot of them, because it's quite complicated. Like, I'm looking at a random surah here. لا أقسم بهذا البلد. For me, I'd have to look at the translation, and I probably wouldn't be able to get it. Like, I do swear by this city. And then the way it ends, the fire will be sealed over them. عليهم نار مؤصدة. So I don't know, but Ustad, I think you have to like be knowledgeable to understand and to extract it. But yeah, Ustad, as long as I'm remembering his advice correctly, because I don't want to like put him in it. It was that the beginning and the end of it was the beginning and end of it sort of like connect in some way. Yeah, like there's a connection between the two.
Bro, the Quran is just amazing. Just even if you don't understand any Arabic, just listen to it.
Yeah.
And you recognize this is a revelation from the Lord of the worlds.
Yeah. Have you seen that video where like they compare different recitations of different religions?
Yeah.
And sometimes you think, well, somebody could say, well, anybody could put a video together with their bias. But when you listen to the Quran, it's impossible. Like it's you can just tell it's a miracle.
Yes, you can. Yeah. It's just beautiful. There's no point describing it beyond that. It's beauty. Yeah. Like it's beauty, and then on top of beauty, there's so much meaning. And you understand if you don't understand anything, you can recognize the beauty. When you start to understand a little bit, you can see, wow, behind the beauty is so much meaning, and you get more knowledge. Like, wow, there's even more knowledge in there, and more insight in there, and there's more and more and more. And you know, the more kind of what you said, the more you know about like even one ayah, the more you get humbled by it and amazed by it. Because it's like, I thought I knew what this ayah meant, like when I heard it 10 years ago, but now this tafsir, I've heard it, and like you suddenly realize like it alludes to this, and it could also allude to that, and the context of it was during this time, and it's just like, that's one ayah, and it's like.
But some of the scholars would ponder and try and understand the meaning of just one ayah for such a long time, one ayah, because how we see it, with our little knowledge, we like read it and then we maybe understand the translation, look at translation. But bro, like when you look at the context and everything, and then bro, not even just the context, but like the context of the ayah and then where it's placed in the Quran. One Path Network posted this video about Surah Kahf, about how like in one ayah it says something, and then if you look at that specific ayah number, like in Surah Kahf, it mentions that exact like word. I can't remember. If you go One Path Network, you'll find it, but it's like we don't even understand it from that perspective, like where in the Quran is placed and for what reason and stuff like that. It's just subhanallah, bro. Like the Quran is amazing. First and foremost, remind to myself, we should get to a point where we just want to study and understand the Quran in like as much as we can. We probably still wouldn't even scratch the surface, but like that should just be like our lifelong mission in many ways.
Yeah, we should.
All right, bro. That's the pod today.
Alhamdulillah, I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, so did I. It was iman boosting in the sense that we were able to talk about the religion
for sure, man.
A long time. So, guys, Ramadan is here. So, inshallah, Allahumma balighna Ramadan.
Ameen.
And if you're listening to this and you're in Ramadan, then congrats.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. That's good.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum.